Well, good Tuesday morning, Southeast Texas. It has been a chilly morning so far, and it was cold this morning. Now, one thing that did help us out a little bit this morning was the cloud cover. We had a lot of mid and high level clouds, which we'll talk about in just a moment. That really helped us out. We were still in the mid to upper 30s, but with that breeze blowing, it was cold this morning. But warmer weather's on the way after tonight. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Our Roofing 911 Skycam Network up in Jasper, sponsored by Provalis. Temperature still in the 40s, so even with full sunshine, still pretty cold. Have that surface high pressure system coming down. So it's going to be a chilly afternoon, that's for sure, warming into the lower 50s. Now the lakes, you started out pretty close to freezing this morning. Didn't get, as far as the air temperature goes, it didn't get quite as cold as we thought, but not far from it. It was cold enough, that's for sure. In our Roofing 911 Skycam Network down in Port Arthur, sponsored by Market Basket. You're slowly warming up into the low to mid 40s down in Port Arthur too. And it's going to be cold area wide tonight, that's for sure. Even in Port Arthur, it's going to be cold. Clear skies, light winds. We expect a light freeze all the way down to the coastline tonight. But beginning tomorrow, which is New Year's Eve, we'll begin to warm up. We'll be in the low 50s today. Should be around 60 to 62 tomorrow. So it'll be slow improvement, but after tomorrow it really gets warm. So we'll talk about coming up in just a moment. But Port Arthur, you started out cold this morning. Our Roofing 911 Skycam Network over in Orange, you're still in the 40s as well, sponsored by the Horseman's Western Store. Lots of clear skies. Orange, you started out in the mid 30s this morning too. You will reach the 50s coming up this afternoon. Not only Orange, but the entire area should be in the lower 50s. But boy, that wind chill was in the 20s this morning. It was cold. At least we're getting some sun, helping a little bit to warm us up across the region. Humidity, of course, very low. And the good news is the winds, they're on the way down. We're not going to have any issues with strong gusty winds for a while. In fact, no wind at all expected tonight. And our Roofing 911 Skycam Network here in Beaumont, sponsored by Packard Pray. Beautiful late Tuesday morning, lots of clear skies, lots of sun, and we need it just to get into the lower 50s this afternoon. So those temperatures above the surface are quite chilly as well with that upper level trough coming through. So even though we have full sunshine, you would think that with very little wind we would warm up quite a bit, but you got cold temperatures aloft and just above the surface, and surface high pressure coming down. That's just not the case, but that will change beginning tomorrow. Still a chilly 43 in Jasper. We have 47 here in Beaumont, 46 Orange, 47 down in Port Arthur. As we said, under clear skies. Even in the Houston area, still pretty cold, mid to upper 40s there, and 43 over in DeRidder. Of course, we started out in the mid to upper 30s this morning across Southeast Texas. We had that cloud deck come in from the northwest. It was mid and high level clouds, mainly cirrus clouds, high level clouds, but it did help us a little bit on our temperatures. If we wouldn't have had those clouds, even with a little bit of a breeze, I think temperatures would have been a couple of degrees colder than actually what we had this morning across Southeast Texas. But we're in the mid to upper 40s now. We'll warm into the lower 50s coming up this afternoon. You see those clouds that were over our area this morning were cirrus clouds. They were actually pretty thick and come in from the northwest. Surface high pressure beginning to build into the region from the north. That's the reason for the lighter winds and the cold conditions we're really expecting tonight, with those lows down around 30 along Interstate 10 to the mid and upper 20s up in the lakes area. But as we've been saying, the good news is no hard freeze. This will be just a light freeze, no hard freeze. So no issues with pipes or anything like that. It just won't be that cold long enough for those kind of issues. So no dripping of the water, anything like that. We should be fine. You see those high clouds still, portions along the Rio Grande down into portions of Mexico. Beginning to warm up to our west, but notice here locally we're still running a couple of degrees colder right now than we were this time yesterday morning. But notice out west things beginning to slowly warm up. Huntsville's a couple degrees warmer than 24 hours ago, and that warming trend will spread eastward over the course of the next few days. So you'll see that coming up in just a few minutes on our 7-day forecast. All right, Futurecast Coming up at noon, we're still in the 40s. This afternoon, low 50s. That's about the best we're going to be able to do. 52, 53 probably later today. Notice this evening at 6:25, basically 6:30, dropping already into the low 40s again. Like I said, though, at least no wind tonight. One of those calm, clear, very cold nights coming up. As we head throughout the night, we drop through the 30s and we end up, looks like around, well, this is at 3 a.m. here, already at or below freezing across parts of the area at 3 a.m. And we'll bottom out maybe at 29 here and there along Interstate 10. And highs tomorrow, we should break the 60 mark. Lots of sun, virtually no wind tomorrow either. And we'll have temperatures in the low 60s. So basically 8 to 10 degrees warmer tomorrow than what we're going to have this afternoon across Southeast Texas. And then by tomorrow evening, New Year's Eve, notice a light southerly flow beginning to develop, but it's still going to be cold tomorrow night. If we're clear tomorrow night, we're still with that light of winds, even though it's out of the south-southwest, it's going to be in the mid to upper 30s tomorrow night. Rainfall. This is what we're hurting on right here. You know, we're going to end the year with virtually no chance of rain at all, zero. We're going to start 2026 with virtually no chance of rain. And we got to get some rain going as we get into next year. If we have a dry rest of the winter, dry going into spring, we'll be in some serious trouble come late spring and summer of next year. But hopefully that'll change. But notice over the course of the next week, virtually nothing, if anything, would be well off to our east with a weak front on Friday night. So we're certainly not getting any help in the rainfall department as the drought will continue. Wake up temperatures tomorrow morning. This is at 7 a.m. Mid to upper 20s lakes, right around 30 along Interstate 10. There could be a 29 around Vidor, China. Some of you get outside of Beaumont, get in some of the rural areas, be a little bit colder. Pretty cold across the region, that is for sure. And then warming up to the low 60s tomorrow afternoon. The rest of today, low 50s, lots of sunshine, and fairly light north winds. We'll say 3 to 8, maybe a gust to 10 or 12, but the winds are certainly on the way down, and we're not expecting much in the way of wind at all tonight or for the next couple of days. Lakes area, low 50s this afternoon. Same for the triangle, low 50s. Tonight, light freeze all the way down to the coast. Light winds, clear skies, 27, 28 up in the lakes. Inland Southeast Texas, a 30 Deweyville, 29 Buna and Silsbee, 29 Kuntz, 29 Votal, and 30 to 32 along Interstate 10. I think the only place that may escape the freeze down around Sabine Pass. You're looking at 36 to 38. All right, let's go over our 7-day forecast here. Of course, the big holiday Thursday with New Year's. Tonight, the light freeze. Cold tonight. Tomorrow, we get up to 61, New Year's Eve. Lots of sun. Beautiful. Very light winds out of the southwest. Now, New Year's Eve night, 38. Still cold. It could be at 36, 37 Thursday morning. That is not impossible with the dry air and fairly light winds. Now, New Year's Day, we're getting closer to 70. I think we may hit 70 on New Year's Day, especially with that wind direction and the wind still fairly light. Southwesterly winds are always a warm wind here in Southeast Texas, or pretty much anywhere. Southwest always good. Want warmer weather. Close to 70 on Thursday, 56 Thursday night. Now Friday, that's the warm day. We're talking mid to upper